Good morning to your children. I think you are all keeping well. I am going to take the chapter 1 from Mulberry class 5. Today, now we can see the chapter 1 is the owls in the family. Name of the author is Ruskin Bond. He's a great writer actually. He was writing many stories for the children and many poems too. When he was a child, he was very much interested in listening stories to his grandparents, and today we can see one of the story from his life experience. And about him we can say how he is a very good writer. Actually, in one of his interview, one child asked it seems, "Respected sir, I want to become a writer, but I could not write. What can I do? I could not complete the writing. How can I become a good writer?" Then Ruskin Bond says, you can become a good writer once you start writing one line, one full sentence. Then you add to the previous sentence. Then that sentence becomes a full writings. So like that you can improve your writing. So this is the small interview, small history of the writer Ruskin Bond, the narrator, the author. Okay, let's move to the chapter 1, the owls in the family. This is a very beautiful and good lesson for us, especially for the children. Okay, now let me read the chapter, then let me explain to you. There are different kinds of owls. For example, great horned owl, barnyard owl, snowy owl, spotted owl. And today, in the first chapter, we are going to see the last one, the spotted owl. It's one variety of owl in the family of owls. Okay, now let's see what had happened in the life of the narrator. One morning we found a full-fledged baby spotted owlet on the ground by the veranda steps. When grandfather picked it up, it hissed and clapped its bill, but after a meal of raw meat and water, settled down for the day under my bed. Actually, the narrator's grandfather happened to see a small owlet, which means a small owl is called owlet. So he has found a small owlet in his veranda. So when he went to pick it up, he started to give sound like hissing. Then when he gave raw meat, it was so quiet. Then let's see what had happened. The spotted owlet, even when full grown, is only the size of a myna and has none of the threatening appearance of the larger owls. Pair of them may often be found in an old mango or tamarind tree, and by tapping on the tree trunk, you may be able to persuade the bird to show an inquiring face at the entrance of its hole. So this is the spotted owlet's appearance, which means it is not very larger, rather it is so tiny like a mynas. And where they live? They live in the holes and the trees, especially the mango tree or the tamarind tree. And whenever you just go to the tamarind tree, in the holes in the tamarind tree, you can see the heads of the owls. So that is the experience of the narrator. The bird is not normally afraid of man, nor is it strictly a night bird, but it prefers to stay at home during the day, as it is sometimes attacked by other birds who consider all owls as their enemies. Now, let us see the character. The owl is not afraid of man, and it is not strictly about the night bird. Rather, it also comes during the day. But if it comes during the day, it is attacked by the other birds, because Other birds think that the owl is an enemy to them. So therefore, the owls don't come during the day, rather they stay at home and they come out during the night. The little owlet was quite happy under my bed. The following day, a second owlet was found in almost the same place on the veranda. And only then did we realize that where the rainwater pipe emerged through the roof, there was a rough sort of nest from which the birds had fallen. We took the second owl to join the first, and we fed them both. When I went to bed, they were on the ledge just inside the mosquito netting, and later in the night, their mother found them there. From outside, she crooned and gurgled for a long time, and in the morning I found that she had left a mouse with its tail tucked through the mosquito net. Obviously, she did not trust us to look after them. Actually, this is about the mother of the two small owlets, which means the small owlet's mother came during the night, bringing food for the small owlets, and it brought during the night where the owlets were with the narrator's room. So it was shouting from the outside of the house, but the small owlets could not come. And morning, the narrator could see a raw of meat, maybe like a rat. So he could find the rat outside of the room. The mother owlet brought food for the small owlets. So this was the care of the mother is shown here. The young birds grew well, and 10 days later at dawn, grandfather and I took them into the garden to release them. So the narrator and the grandfather both were taking the small owlets to leave them free, to set them free in the garden. I had placed one on the branch of the mango tree and was stooping to pick up the other when I received quite a heavy blow on the back of my head. A second or two later, the mother owl swooped down at grandfather, but he was agile enough to dug out of its way. Quickly, I placed the second owl under the mango tree. Then from a safe distance, we watched the mother fly down and lead her young ones into the long grass at the edge of the garden. So this is different experience. What happened? We can see in our family also. When we take small chick from the mother hen, suddenly the mother hen will come towards us and it will try to chase us. So also here the narrator and the grandfather both were taking the small owlets to leave them free. So when they were taking, the narrator was keeping one owlet on the branch of the mango tree. Then suddenly the mother owl started to come and attack the narrator. Then he was afraid. The narrator was afraid because he was a boy. So he was afraid. Then he understood that mother is chased. Then suddenly he happens to keep the second also in the branch of the mango tree, and the grandfather and narrator, they moved away from that place, and the mother owl came and took both the owlets to the separate place. We thought she would take her family away from the surroundings of our rather strange household. But next morning, on coming out of my room, I found two young owls standing on the wall just outside the door. I ran to tell grandfather, and when we came back, we found the mother sitting on the bird bed 10 yards away. I got the feeling that she was sorry for her behavior the previous day, because she treated us with a soft ooh. So this is the very kind experience we can see in this paragraph. What it is, the mother owl, she realized her mistake, because the narrator and grandfather, they were taking care the small owls very nicely. So therefore, the mother owl came back to their house and felt sorry for the mistake because she was attacking the narrator. So therefore the mother owl felt sorry for the mistake, and she came and she showed her sorry by greeting, by saying different sounds like ooh ooh. Now there is an unselfish mother for you, said grandfather. It is obvious she would like them to have a good home, and they are probably getting a bit too big for it to manage. So the owlets became regular members of our household, and strangely enough were among the few pets that grandmother took a liking to. In fact, the owls became so attached to grandmother that they began to show affection towards anyone in a petticoat, including Aunt Mabel, who was terrified of them. She would run shrieking from the room every time one of the birds went closer to her in a friendly manner. So this is another different kind of character of one of the family members. Their name is Aunt Mabel. Aunt Mabel is very different lady. She is afraid of the owl. Whenever the small owlets come closer to her, she used to run away from the owlets. Whereas another character, the grandmother, she was so attached to the owlets, and she was so very lovable to the pet animals. Already there were some pet animals in the family, and one among them is the owlets, the small owlets. In response to grandmother's voice, the owlets would make sounds as gentle and soothing as the purring of a cat. But when wild owls were around, ours would disturb the night with terrible shrieks. Their nightly occupation was watching beetles, with which the kitchen quarters were infested at the time. With their sharp eyes and powerful beaks, they were excellent pest destroyers. So this is about the two things. One is about the grandmother voice, grandmother affection towards the owlets. Whenever grandmother calls the owlets responded to the grandmother's voice. Then second one is the owlets were shouting during the night time when other owlets were there around the house. And third one is the owlets were catching the beetles, small insects during the night, especially when there is light. Small insects used to fly and come in front of the light. So therefore the owls they are so busy during the night catching all the insects in the which are coming in front of the lights. So they are called as excellent pest destroyers. The owls loved to sit and splash in a swallow dish, especially if cold water was poured over them from a jug at the same time. They would get thoroughly wet, jump out onto a perch, shake themselves, then return for a second splash and sometimes a third. So this is about how the owlets used to enjoy with the narrator. Narrator used to give them bath with the water. So they used to enjoy. They go for the first and second and third time also they go and take bath with the help of the narrator. He used to pour water on the owlets and they used to enjoy this taking bath. Looking back on those owlish days, I carry in my mind a picture of grandmother with a content look in a rocking chair. Once, on entering her room, while she was having an afternoon nap, I saw that one of the owls had crawled up her pillow till its head was snuggled under her ear. Both grandmother and the little owl were snoring. So this is another funny experience of the narrator. What is it? When he was child, he happens to enter grandmother's room, and in the afternoon, grandmother was sleeping and snoring along with the owl also was sleeping with the grandmother and also snoring with the grandmother. So this is the very funny story which we can read from the chapter 1. This is very nice story from which we can learn as a children. You should learn that we should also very kind to the pet animals, either dog or cat or a cow or a parrot or any animals which we nurture in our houses. So let's be kind to them, and also let's, if we do not have the habit of nurturing rearing the animals, let's begin to rear the animals, and let's begin to give respect, and let's begin to love the animals. That's a very good lesson we could learn from this chapter. And already I have given the question answers in the PDF format, and you can also have a look at it and prepare your subject from the chapter 1. Thank you. Have a good day.